No,
The
you
Lakers
do.
are going somewhere. The Lakers are doing something. The Lakers have a young team. They have prospects. They have potential. The Bulls don't have that. The Bulls have Jimmy Butler, and they have a bunch of old players. They have Jimmy Butler, and they have Denzel Valentine, who might be able to.
Hey, you got Bobby
something.
in there too.
You got Bobby Portis as well. I don't want to hurt on or trash on Bobby Portis.
That whole summer league team, and I know that it goes back
Summer
to the
league
point
champs?
where it's
Yeah, but
like,
Summer League isn't going to win them a championship.
No.
in the NBA.
It goes down to the point. Yeah, we should have dominated because we had one of the oldest summer league teams in Las Vegas this year. But I watched that team and I went, holy shit, this is like Bobby impressed me. I liked what Valentine brought to the table. Felicio, Grant was, but
he had his moments.
He had his moments, and it's a thing where it's like, okay, I can see the young talent. I just want to see this year. And just if we make the playoffs, that's like winning the championship. But
if you make the playoffs, you're holding your team
what
back.
you're saying because it still puts us, and that's where the Bulls are. We're in basketball purgatory.
Yep.
We're maybe good enough to get into the playoffs, but even if we're not, we're a 13-14, never going to get a top 10.
It's Reinsdorf just trying to keep this team alive and just trying to bring people in because if they go to the
a
playoffs,
little bit more money out of that.
If they make
more money.
If they make the playoffs, it's just going to sell a lot of tickets. But let's go.
I'm going to throw out a winner, and this is shocking that Dave threw out the Bulls.
I was about to throw one out too.
I'm going to throw out the LA Lakers as a winner.
Whoa! We should.
I know we switched it. Dave brought out the Bulls. I brought out the Lakers. I mean, whoa.
We had a secret deal behind closed doors here.
It's all about the what's up nation, that telepathic mindset now. But I mean, you look at obviously the Mozgov deal was kind of the worst free agent signing to me of the free agency, but
I think you're giving
it hits a need. It hits a need. Jose Calderon. They bring him in. He's going to be gone in a year anyways. It doesn't matter.
Veteran leadership.
I mean, to me, you hit in the draft where you get Brandon Ingram, you get Zubac, who impressed during the summer league, and you get one of the best free agent signings I'm going to say for a team in Luol Deng coming over to the Lake Show.
I agree that Luol Deng was
Lake
great.
Show's not a thing.
I agree that they had a great draft.
They're the Lake Show. That's what they used to be.
I agree that Luol Deng was a great signing.
That's what they used to be called.
I agree that their draft was great, and I agree that bringing in Luke Walton was fantastic. And again, you're just building this team up for more. Would I say they're one of the top teams? But no, they did have a good offseason. They did like their moves. I mean, Mozgov was terrible. We could say that until the cows come home. Everyone agrees that Mozgov was a terrible signing.
It's all because of the money that was coming in.
Yeah. Calderon's not going to make your team any better, but also he's not going to be your point guard. He's just going to be coming off the bench to back up D. Russ. I mean. I think that the Lakers are getting there. I think people are going to see it as a loss because they didn't bring in a big name free agent. They didn't bring another star in. They didn't bring in a guy like Kevin Durant. They couldn't even woo him into an interview.
Basically, they did bring in Kevin Durant because Brandon Ingram is Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Well, we'd all like to hope and think and pray that happens, but we don't know.
They didn't bring in Hassan Whiteside for an interview. They couldn't even get the big names in here. LA's falling apart.
Wouldn't even show up.
They're just getting there. They're building up that team so the free agents will come. So the free agents want to get there.
Yeah,
I will agree that the Lakers did push their team forward and did get better and did develop this team more.
Well, and it's one of those things where you made the additions you had to say, hey, we're going to be an exciting team. But if I'm a Laker fan, I'm kind of glad we didn't get a top free agent because yet again. If you fall out of the top three, you lose that pick. I mean, if you're good enough to fall out of that top three, go ahead. That's a win for you guys. But with the team, it's like, oh, cool, we got Brandon Ingram, we got Zubac, we got Deng. But if we're a top three team, I'm not upset because at least we kept our draft pick.
Thank God the West
and then
is still
can add
just
next
crazy
year.
good. And there's a chance that they could, still end up as a top three team, even with all these smart moves.
Yep.
Top bottom team.
Top bottom team.
Yeah, people might get
top
confused.
draft team.
Yeah,
team
top draft.
draft.
Yeah, look, when we talk Lakers, we talk top draft team. We don't talk wins, losses. No,
not yet.
Not yet, but
2 to 3
years. Right there. Right there. We're on the same page.
It's my bold prediction. Another winner I want to throw out there is we'd kind of be stupid not to throw out Golden State.
We're stepping around it. We were like trying to be all like, oh yeah, look at all these other teams. Well, Golden State just kind of mic dropped that conversation.
Golden State got coming.
If we're talking super teams, you got to throw the Knicks out there, right? Apparently, it's Derrick Rose. Got to throw them out there.
Another loser for me, if we're talking about the Knicks, Orlando. I'm going to get a lot of hate. Everyone from Orlando was finally.
Tell me why.
Okay.
Tell me why. I want to hear this.
Well, yeah. Orlando fans wanted to downvote us to hell. If you check out our Bismack Biyombo signing, we have so many dislikes on that video.
Best
we have
center
so
in the NBA.
many people calling us idiots. And let's go again, Magic rounds. Magic fan, this is round 2.
Ding, ding.
Ring the bell. All right, so they brought in Bismack Biyombo, who is has a lot of potential, who might be able to develop into a great defensive player. Yeah, he can
develop. He's been in the league for multiple years already. I'm sorry. This is who he is.
He's apparently to Magic fans, he's a top defensive center in the league. I don't know where the fuck that came from, but apparently it's happening.
About 4 games in the playoffs.
Yeah, for about 4 games of the playoffs, he had that one game where he had 26 rebounds. Bismack has not proven himself for that contract. I think we all agree there. You're basically paying for potential there. So you got Bismack, you have Nikola Vucevic, who is a good player, who apparently could bring in Draymond Green in a trade, according to Magic fans. Vucevic, a good offensive player, but not no defense there. But so maybe if you pair him with Serge Ibaka, who you traded Victor Oladipo for, that can bring in some. But you also traded Sabonis as well, and then you have Steven Zimmerman, who you drafted in the second round, and you have Aaron Gordon, who's one of the who's a huge athletic freak. So you have about 5 guys there who I would say 4 of them could be starters for your team for the center and power forward position. So Vucevic is most likely going to start, and you have Serge next to him. And then you have Bismack Biyombo and Aaron Gordon there. But the problem with that is Aaron Gordon isn't that great offensively. Bismack Biyombo isn't that great in general. They have a lot of potential and a lot of athleticism. But then again, how is this team going to score? Because then you get rid of Victor Oladipo, who is your best scorer. But then you have Elfrid Payton, who's not that good of a scorer. You have a guy who Mario Hezonja, who's very young, but then again, he hasn't really proven himself there. And then you have other guys, like other players on this team that just cannot score. I see this team probably putting up 88 points per game. They have a good defensive team, and they brought in Frank Vogel, which was a good signing, who's a great defensive coach. But where the hell is the scoring going to come from? And you have 2 guys. You have one guy in Serge who's a great defensive player. In that 5 guys who can play center or power forward, and you have Bismack who might develop into that. But then again, who the fuck's going to score on the Magic? So you lose.
Sean, tell us how you really think.
You also traded Victor Oladipo too.
I mean,
which was a terrible trade because you gave way too much up for Serge Ibaka.
The floor is now yours, Sean. Just go.
I feel like he has some strong feelings on this one.
Some real strong feelings. I'm looking right now, 29 likes to 40 dislikes on that.
We got murdered on that one.
Let's see if we can get to 100 on this one, Sean. Tell us how you really feel. Let's go for milestones.
I just did.
So, Sean, they would not be a winner in your category for this offseason? Just to clarify for our fans out there?
Or is it a gray area?
I would file them into dumpster fire like the Kings. And people are going to get mad because I said dumpster fire. It was a joke. Relax.
Here, let me throw this out there. Biggest loser of the 3, Bulls, Magic, or Kings?
That's tough.
Bulls, Magic, or Kings?
Pick one.
Okay.
I thought it was picking the Magic.
The problem I have with the Magic is the Magic have a lot of good players, or have a lot of players who are quality. They
got Frank Vogel now, man.
Yeah, and they brought in a good coach. See, they have a lot of quality players, but then again, all of that quality doesn't mean you have a superstar. All of that quality doesn't make you a playoff team. You have a lot of quality players who can come and circle in. You brought in Jeff Green, who has been the biggest disappointment in the NBA and has, can really bring a lot to this team. You have DJ Augustin, who's a good backup center. You brought him in as well. But if you look at this Magic team, who is really going to be a star here? You brought in Jody Meeks. Great fucking job there. I mean, what I don't understand what the Magic are trying to do here. Again, with the Magic, you have a lot of quality players. But that doesn't mean you have a quality team.
Yeah, they're the wrong pieces.
Wrong pieces, not enough good pieces. You have a lot of quality pieces, doesn't mean it's good pieces. You might be a playoff team, maybe, if there's a lot of injuries and you can figure out how to put those quality pieces into the correct starting lineup.
If you put enough balls through baskets, you win the game, which gets you in the playoffs.
Or you stop the other team from scoring a lot of baskets.
John Madden.
Boom. Turducken. No, see, the Magic aren't going to be a bad team. They're not going to be a bottom team in the East. They're not. But they didn't make their team better. They didn't advance for the future. They brought in a lot of players who were quality players.
Right.
They didn't make this team better. They're not going to be. They might be competing for that 8th seed in the East, but they're not going to be a playoff team.
Okay. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the process? Do you trust in the process? Because I do. I think the 76ers had a wonderful offseason.
I was wondering where you're going for that.
Yeah. Come on. Ben Simmons, you didn't miss. Wonderful job. You didn't fuck that up. They also, brought in Timothy and Furkan, 2 guys who we'll probably see a little bit of and hopefully a lot. My expectations, honestly, I wasn't the hugest fan of them coming over. But look, they get some shooting, which is what they desperately need because they've got a lot of bigs now. And Ben Simmons was beautiful in Summer League, passing the ball, like lights out, crazy passes.
What's a win for the Sixers this year? Because they're not making the playoffs, but what's a win for the Sixers? Like, what's
a win is
what's at the end of the season? You're going, this was a good season.
Embiid playing.
Yeah. If they don't lose a big man to injury, it's a win. I don't care how many wins you put up on this.
If Embiid plays 50 games, throw a parade. That's probably a win there.
I like it.
If Ja starts scoring around 20 points.
Well, he's right there already. He's
exactly,
at like 18.8 or something.
But if he gets there, and you see those.
You crest that 20-point barrier? Okay.
You get over that 20-point barrier. You see improvement from a mid-range game.
Do you feel like if they have all three centers still on their team at the end of the year, it's a loss? You think they fucked up?
No. I think that might hold this team back a little bit. But I think if they have Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor and Embiid, it's mainly because they just want to make sure Embiid can actually stay healthy.
Okay.
So if they keep Noel around, I wouldn't be too shocked. Or if they keep Ja around, I wouldn't be too shocked. And then if they have him by the draft or after the draft's over, I think that's a loss for them.
Okay.
So if they bring all three of those players back next year, that's the problem.
Okay.
I think if they have them after the trade deadline, that's not that big of a deal. I think if they get rid of them by the draft, I think they'll be fine. Because I agree with the Sixers. I mean, you have Ben Simmons, obviously, who's going to be the power forward, point forward, point forward, whatever you want to call it. So they're going to find some ways. I think a win for them is Ben Simmons winning Rookie of the Year, Saric looking like living up to his potential,
Can't wait.
Embiid playing 50 games, and Ja scoring around 20.
I'm getting goosebumps over here thinking about the 76ers playing. That's just bizarre. And you know what the smart thing they did is? Brought in some veterans. Help, fill out that locker room. Gerald Henderson, guy who's been around for years. He's a quality player. He'll give you some minutes. But it's that mentality. Same with Jared Bayless. He's not going to go out there and surprise you.
Didn't they throw money at Harrison Barnes too?
They did.
They try to bring him in?
They tried to, but he turned it down and went down to the Mavs. But no, I think get the locker room straight. Ish had some immaturity issues. So while I am a huge fan of Ish, it's probably the right move to get him out of town, let him walk. But no, I think this team is prepped for the future.
And I mean, I just wanted to throw out, speaking of Harrison Barnes, not about the whole team in the Mavs, just the signing in general this offseason. Good or bad for the Mavs?
Harrison Barnes?
With Harrison Barnes, I mean,
it's okay.
Is he going,
he's not going to be a superstar.
But is he going to be serviceable next to Dirty Dirk?
Oh, yeah. He'll be
Dirk.
Harrison Barnes isn't a bad player. He just got blown out of the water because he was on a 73 game win team.
And couldn't make a shot for 2 games.
Yeah, and he was the starting small forward. They were looking down and out because, and it wasn't Harrison Barnes' fault, but they were looking down and out because of Iggy's injury, of Curry's poor play, of Clay being on and off. Yeah, I mean, Draymond's suspension. People were looking more from him, but I think Harrison Barnes can be a decent player. I mean, if he scores 14 or 15 for you, that's good.
Yeah, I think he'll average probably about 15 and 6. Yeah. I mean, he'll be good. He won't be great. He won't really change the game. I mean, I think it's funny that the Mavs brought in, a Curry, Bogut, and Barnes. Try to recreate their own Golden State. Unfortunately, it's the wrong Curry.
I think they brought in a Thompson, too. Or there's a Thompson out there. Jason Thompson, I think, still a free agent, so if they want to bring him in.
Make it happen. But no, I mean, I know you didn't want to get too far into the Mavs, but no, they did something serviceable. They let some talent go between Chandler and Zaza, but they're bringing in new guys. I'm okay with it. It's a net neutral.
Oh God, I'm looking at these Magic comments now, and I'm getting pissed off again. Let me just throw one out there. The most liked comment on that one is from Sergio Santiago. Disliked them to death. That one only got 4. This one has 15. You guys, spelled with just a U. You guys are stupid motherfuckers with Z's. Orlando has 10 starters on that team. Doesn't mean it's good. They have 10 quality players that are going to be backlogged, and they're not going to be able to put out the best starting lineup there on their team. You dumb. The word I'm not going to say. Don't you ever disrespect Orlando. What has Orlando done? How many fucking championships do they have, Sergio? Get off blogging, please. This isn't a blog. It's a podcast. You don't know shit. You don't know how to spell. Since when the best front court in the basketball does not make the playoffs? This isn't the best front court. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, Sergio. You have 5 players who are okay. You have Vucevic, who's a good offensive player but can't play defense. You have Serge, who tries to be a 3-point shooter but just chucks him up. You have Aaron Gordon, who's got a lot of potential. You got Bismack Biyombo, who's on a terrible contract. Since when Vogel does not make the playoff? Well, he had a good team there. I gave you a dislike, motherfuckers. Don't care. Suck my dick. No. Don't you ever disrespect the Magic in your life. Just the Magic have never been good. They made the finals once. Made the finals once because of Dwight Howard's monstrous performance.
Yeah, fair enough. I love the Shaq and Penny days. You know, those were my joy. And then Dwight was okay.
That as well. Sorry, they made it twice. I forgot about Shaq and Penny. My bad. I want to apologize to that. But you had two dominant big men, two of the best players in the NBA at that time.
So what do they do? They go out there themselves and get another dominant big man in Bismack Biyombo.
No, it's quantity over quality. It's quantity over quality. Hey, let's just get.
I'm so happy there's not a video podcast this week.
Let's just get a ton of them and see if one of them hits. Let's see if one of them sticks. Let's see what happens. Let's make Serge Ibaka the focal point of our offense. Great idea there, guys.
It's gonna pay off huge.
God, any final teams you guys want to talk about?
No, not really.
You gotta give a little bit of credit to Minnesota. You know, go out there and get Chris Dunn, what we think is the third best player in this draft.
Should have went to Boston. To Boston,
probably.
The other team,
and they hired Tom Thibodeau.
They did.
I mean, look, this team is stacked. They're stacked and they're set for success in the future because you got the coach who believes in the team. He's gonna run their legs off, but you know what? They're gonna get a shit ton of wins.
After an hour of talking about this, I want to throw one more team out. And if you've been waiting for this team, I hope you didn't write comments. Where's this team? I want to throw the Suns out there. You bring in Leandro Barbosa, bringing him back to Phoenix, who's still a very good bench player. Obviously showed his scoring in the NBA Finals. Jared Dudley is bringing him back as well to Phoenix. A good 3-point shooter. You brought in Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris. You know, if you can't have one, why? Or if you want both, why not? I don't know what the fucking saying is, but
just get them both.
Get them both. You also bring in Tyler. You bring in Tyler Ulis in the second round.
Kentucky backcourt continues.
Yes, you have 3 players from 4 players.
They have 4 Kentucky Wildcats.
4 Kentucky Wildcats. I think they had a great draft. They had a great free agency, and I don't think they're gonna be a playoff team, but they're still making their team better. They're bringing in the right players.
Like like the Suns have always been like when I think NBA purgatory, I think the Suns. Yeah. To be honest with you, they've just always been there in my mind.
Well, they're in that Magic territory where they've had great players and Steve Nash and Charles Barkley, but couldn't get over that hump and win a championship.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but now I really like what they've done. I think they've got a loaded backcourt now. They got to find time to play everybody. And you know what? If one of those 2 bigs hits, they're set.
But their situation isn't that bad because what's your problem there? Because you have Ulis, who will be a backup and should be a backup in his first year. You have 2 guys in Knight and Bledsoe who should be starting, and you could play Devin Booker at the 3, and Devin Booker obviously showed that he's a great 3-point shooter, and if he kind of struggles, then you could put him as your backup, and him and Ulis isn't going to be that bad of a combo.
They're only best friends for life.
Yeah, I think what the Suns are doing is fantastic. They're not
absolutely.
They're not in a position where they're holding themselves back, where they're chaining 5 guys who could be starting.
They're not pulling in Orlando?
They're not pulling in Orlando is basically what I'm saying. And after an hour long of trashing the Orlando Magic, we are going to wrap up this episode of the Fast Break Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening on SoundCloud, hit that like button, hit that repost button. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget those. Those help us a ton. If you also want to check us out on any of our social medias, the links are down below. And also, one final thing we got to touch on is patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you do want to help support us and help us create greater content and just improve the quality of this content, then check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We got exclusive podcasts on there. We got a lot of perks, and a lot of that is available for you if you do want to check that out. So do not forget to go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But for Dave Oster and Ricky Widmer, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Fast Break Podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter @MostValuablePod for more great podcasts.